as long as we're making lemonade out of lemons, one of the good things about having your main TikTok account get completely demolished is that you get the chance to make a new backup account where you don't have any followers, it's not monetized. TikTok is free to use all of your content for free in the algorithm. And so you don't have to worry about making things that are necessarily going to trend or whether or not you're posting too many monetizable videos, because that's not a thing. So I actually really am enjoying having this little backup account on TikTok where I can just say whatever I want. But I was trying to think yesterday, like what's actually the best use of this platform? And my friend over at Lucky Lola Studios, I'll tag her here, she said, I have an idea for you. What if you use your new little backup account and just post things that are a little bit more positive? Things are really heavy in the world right now. And not that you have to put kind of a fake spin on things. I think I said in a video yesterday that I'm not Pollyanna at all. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. I'm not going to minimize how bad things are. But at the same time, so much of the news from regular media is very oppressive and very bleak. And doomer content, the kind of the world is ending, we're all cooked, America is totally effed, that kind of content goes viral very quickly. It has a lot of appeal. There's an awful lot of white men who have made really big accounts posting endless doomer content. And some of y'all who have watched my main TikTok or watch me over on YouTube know that I get really fed up with that kind of nonsense, because the reality is that there is no end. This is not the end of everything. It might be the end of capitalism in America. It might be the end of the oligarchy, but we don't know, because the future has yet to be written. We get to have a hand in crafting what that future looks like. And it's only people who benefit from the current system. It's only people who have a really weird kind of, eschatological view of the world, people who've not unpacked their evangelicalism and have this sort of apocalyptic mindset, who could possibly think that everything is ending and that the world is over. Yeah, just because the comfortable existence that you had up until now has crumbling and you're having to struggle for the first time in your life, that doesn't actually mean that we're cooked and that America is over. We're just living through history right now. We get to have this chance now to shape history. And so in that context, I was thinking, how can I use this platform to help shape history in whatever tiny little way that I'm able to do that? And Lucky Lola was like, what if you just make positive content that's realistic, that's encouraging, that is sharing truthful, positive takes on various issues, not lulling people into a false sense of security, not blowing smoke up folks' asses, but just like taking a little space on the internet where you are choosing to be in a positive mindset. You're choosing to look at good stories. And yeah, on your other accounts, maybe you're diving into those harder topics. Yeah, maybe you're diving into, more difficult situations, setbacks, losses, facing head-on human rights violations and how cruel and terrible people can be, how exploitive and awful and brutal this regime is. Like maybe cover more of that on your other accounts, at least for the time being. And so I'm taking her up on that advice. You might have noticed that yesterday. I know the video that I just posted before this one is it's a little heavy, but for the most part, I'm trying to post more positive content on this platform for now. Not only because it's good for my mental health, but also because I think it's good for those of us in the pro-democracy resistance. And also because I think there's a lot of true positive takes on things that are not getting reported. It's really easy to have a very bleak, nihilistic take on everything in the news. And being a permaculture person, my outlook is always the problem is the solution, right? That's a very common phrase, a common saying in permaculture. We're going through something hard, we have a setback, something difficult happens, we have a problem in our permaculture system. How can we utilize that problem to help us get to a solution? Whether there's something we can actively harness out of that problem, or whether there are lessons, takeaways, so that we can shift and adapt and edit our strategies going forward to be more successful in the future. The problem is the solution falls right in line with the permaculture principle of produce no waste. Nothing is a wasted opportunity. In permaculture, when we say produce no waste, what we really mean is that everything is a resource for which we need to find a use. See how that folds right into the problem is the solution. what can we learn? What are the lessons we can learn? And also, what unexpected resources come out of a scenario where we think that everything is just loss? One example of this is the way that when the regime tries something terrible and awful, we make sure that it invokes a backlash for them. We try to make sure that when they do something terrible, that it hurts them in the end. A good example of this is when Donald Trump made death threats against veterans in Congress, including Senator Mark Kelly. He was so dysregulated because our veterans serving in Congress communicated the law to current service members that he threatened them with, Trump's attempt to intimidate and threaten members of Congress has backfired fantastically. They're speaking out more. They're being more bold. And not only that, it has mobilized veterans all over the country who are outraged at Donald Trump's words. Another example of the problem is the solution, is that when the regime does something and it results in a setback for us, right? They advance their cause a little bit. One example would be Spotify allowing ICE to buy ads on their platform, right? That's another corporation that is collaborating with fascism because they think it'll be profitable for them. Okay, that's an advancement of the fascists. That is, once again, another institution or corporation that is folding like a chair. Yeah, we could just view that as like shit. But instead, organizations like Indivisible and 5051 were like, no, this is a great chance for us to adapt and to create a new strategy for us to get to be creative in this moment. And thus the Spotify boycott was born. One element of that is people making videos to urge their favorite musicians. I made a whole video for Fall Out Boy for Pete and Patrick and Andy and Joe. And I was like, hey guys, y'all play on Spotify. I am in the top 0.1% of Spotify listeners for Fall Out Boy. I'm here asking y'all to weigh in and join us in the Spotify boycott. Chicago is being targeted by ICE. Portland is being targeted by ICE. Y'all are from Chicago, and Andy lives outside Portland. Andy had a vegan coffee shop in Portland for many years. Here's a great chance for y'all to get on board, to use your influence, your celebrity status to do something good. And I know that Indivisible is encouraging people to make videos for their favorite musicians who use Spotify. And we're definitely all canceling our Spotify subscriptions, or we already should have, because 90% of Spotify's revenue comes from subscriptions, which makes it incredibly foolish of them to decide that they're going to take money from Department of Homeland Security to run ICE recruitment ads. We can really have a huge impact by saying, like, I'm not going to give you any money until you stop running ICE recruitment ads. That is a new adaptive strategy. That's a creative way to push back against fascism, because we have to push back against corporations that are bending the knee. And we as consumers have an awful lot of power with our pocketbooks. Anywhere that the regime looks like they're advancing, anywhere that they do something terrible, that just opens a door for us to be able to strategize and try something new. That gives us a chance to be creative. And we've seen that in other nonviolent resistance movements throughout history. Look at Chile, look at Serbia, look at the Czech Republic. Specific things that the regime does that allows people a chance to craft new strategies. There are effective, creative ways to resist fascism that have not yet emerged. A year ago, nobody had invented the Tesla takedown. The problem is the solution, and the power lies with the people. We get to craft those solutions and participate in them. We get to work together to bring them about. So for now, I'm going to make more factual, helpful videos on this small backup account. I'll definitely repost them to YouTube. I'm going to try and make them educational, sharing strategies and philosophy, and also non-doomer takes on what's happening in the United States of America. I think I said this in a video earlier today, but we have to dream of a better future before we can build it. We can't be mired in our own hopelessness. We can't be mired in defeatism and then expect that we are going to strategize a way out of this. If we want an America that works for us, if we want a future with prosperity and justice and equity, if we want good things for ourselves, then we need to dream of those good things. We need to believe in those good things. We have to strategize for those good things. And a big part of that is believing that we deserve that better future, while also believing that we are capable of not only envisioning, but enacting that future. There's nothing naive about building a better world. There's nothing naive about believing that we can work for solutions. But then we have to get busy doing that work. And I think that's the direction that I'm going to take this account for the next couple weeks at least.